Practice and dispassion lead you onwards.
In all the humble movements towards a preparation which makes one enter the phase of meditation as it is being unfolded in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the seeker must not rush. It is a cautious approach that is hinted at in the Bhagavad Gita. The need of the individual trying to seek the cosmic consciousness, which is the duty for which we have all come, makes him go in a very gradual manner. We should not make a huge leap into that. It is easy to be an extremist either way, but it is very difficult to be a moderate. Supposing tomorrow is Ekadasi and you say, because I am going to fast tomorrow, let me eat much today. Or after Ekadasi you say, yesterday I fasted, so I will eat a lot. It is better not to fast at all. Our ideas of fasting are, oh, this is what God wants, so I must do it. God never said that you have to torture yourself. You should not torture your mind. You should not torture yourself. You should not torture the physical body. You should not torture the psychophysical aspirations. You must be gentle in handling them. No type of extremism will ever be accepted in the path of a spiritual seeker. We can go to the extremes very quickly, very rapidly, because we think in so doing that we will be able to achieve what we are seeking to achieve. But what we are seeking to achieve must be very clear before you could enter into the seeking itself. In meditation, the lofty ideal must merge with the reality of your own self. The ideal cannot live alien to your personality. The ideal has to be you, which must be within you. It is not a space that is required for you to reach, but a distanceless, intimate closeness has to merge within itself. Patanjali Maharshi puts it so beautifully. If you take 2 containers of water and pour one into another, the water merges so rapidly you do not know what is merging with what. In the same way, in meditation, the individual conscious personality merges with the universal personality. Now you do not know who entered whom, and you will not be able to decipher and say, this entered that or that entered this. You will become speechless, thoughtless. You will be so gripped. You cannot distinguish between the two. There are no two things now. It is an entering into oneself. We are always educated in a manner to believe that everything is external to us, that we have to go out from our senses, from our personality, to hold on to the other. Even though at a psychological level or a physical level, we may say that it is external to us in the beginning. But from a metaphysical point of view, we are not seeking anything outside us. As I said, that even if you ask for a cup of tea, you are asking for the infinite. The moment a cup of tea has come, you have not even sipped it, but you feel that you have possessed what you have been desiring. A restlessness has been addressed and a temporary halt has been made, by which you imply that once it has become my possession, nobody can take it away. In the same way also in meditation, you want to hold on to the infinite principle, and when you are asking for that, you feel it is entering into you. Momentarily we do face it, but to feel it in a state of meditation there has to be a gradual art of application, which is an art of administering all these senses in a quiet manner. Understanding the limitation at every point, understanding the different rules that are assigned to each one of us at different points, choosing a moment and choosing an approximate place, pleasing your personality in a strict manner of discipline, not by conditioning yourself, but applying the idea of knowledge that flows into the practice. You will be eventually and gradually absorbed into that. We all have roles, and every role is significant. You cannot say God's creation is useless. I am only going to God and the creation has absolutely no relevance whatsoever. Everything has significance. When we say that we are uncomfortable with somebody or a situation or an event, it means to say that I am failing to recognize the point of view of the other. We are not seeing an object. In meditation, because what you consider as an object of meditation or concentration is not external to you. From the point of view of the object also feels it is the subject. Our clashes, confusions, contradictions, and conflicts arise on account of the simple inadequacy on our part to recognize the other point of view. That is why we say we are not happy with that person. We are not happy with that situation. Maybe that point is not validated by my understanding at this point in time due to the immaturity of my personality, but the other point cannot be called a redundant point or an unnecessary point, a useless point or an unwarranted point. It has a validity of its own in that context. Everything has significance. Nothing can be discarded. What is the meaning of the renunciation that Bhagavad Gita speaks of when Sri Krishna says that a yogi alone can renounce and only a renunciate can become a yogi and only they can meditate? If it says that, it appears to be a contradiction, because what do you renounce finally? If consciousness is indivisible, if consciousness alone exists everywhere, what is to be renounced? The object cannot be renounced. The idea that the object is in that particular shape and form can be renounced. The content of the selfhood of the object that we consider as an object at that point of time cannot be renounced. Even to see that object, consciousness only gives the brightness, the understanding. The visible presentation which makes me focus my senses on that particular object and behold it in my understanding is possible because of the consciousness only. We advertise a product, Nike shoes or Reebok or whatever it is. Why is the shopkeeper advertising if it is the best product? If it is the best product, he must keep it. Why is he selling it? The best thing for him is only after it is sold, he will get the money. The product is not great. It is the money that will come after you sell the product that is great. And our restlessness arises on account of the sneakers that I am not wearing. That is causing me restlessness because I am not up to date with the fashion industry. After all, what is our conflict? It is fashion, passion, and compassion. I am not able to conform myself to the needs that are arising from this world, and I am considering myself a misfit, so I must buy this particular thing. If I buy it and put it on, then I need to think I must welcome the person in the group who is projecting himself as the most important. We want to join the particular club But after you buy that from that shop owner, you are not having it all the time. You cannot wear it for 24 hours. You will wear it only on occasions. When you want to go for a walk or to the gym or to run or whatever, only for some time you will wear it. You will religiously wear that for 10 days, and after that you will keep it on the shoe rack and then never look at it again. If it has brought any benefit to you, why is it not giving you that happiness after you have attained the understanding that you are the possessor? Once the idea of possessorship comes, the desire temporarily vanishes. Then it returns in a rapid rebound action, as Michael Jordan does it in a different design. Addressing the core of the desire is not healthy according to the Bhagavad Gita in the context of the 6th chapter. A gradual understanding of things. My role is limited to be like this and not that. The Constitution says anyone can become the President of the Republic of South Africa. Why only one? All cannot be in the same place at the same time. Everybody has to be a resident first. Then only you can proceed and become president. The word itself explains the situation. If that is the situation, am I conditioning myself to be a perfect resident? Who is a resident? Who is a citizen of the country? A citizen of a country is a person who obeys the laws of the state, not out of fear, but out of respect, not out of any condemnation that has been hoisted on that citizen, but because you validate and salute the spirit of the nation, and thereby you obey the laws out of sheer reverence, not because you are forced to accept that law. Whenever we have the income tax reform laws passed in the budget every year in any parliament, the citizens cry. Unless those reforms are not brought, the government cannot administer its resources to the public. Every time we cry, it does not mean that we are against a nation. We are against the regulation of the resource materials that are available for finance and the administrative principles of monetary regulation. That is all. We do not see it like that. Oh, I am being taxed terribly. How can I pay this? Prices are going up. Tell me which generation says that the prices came down. My father used to buy in 9 rupees one bag of rice. I can't buy even half a kilo with that money today. Is it a mistake of our generation or our forefathers' generation? Who made it? The intensification of the desires in a collective manner brought through the society in a nation makes these changes happen. We have to see the financial stability also. Swamiji, we are here only for a retreat. Don't talk about finances. Don't talk about banks. We are only to condition our thoughts on God. God did not say, throw this all and come to me. Understand all of this and through this reach me. This is a spiritual seeker's final aim. Meditation does not mean you throw away and discard everything and just sit erect and shut your eyes. It does not happen like that. The individual must know his position at given point of time. What is my role? I am son to somebody. I am a husband to somebody. I am a father to somebody. I am an officer to somebody. I have a colleague in the office. I am a social unit. So I am a member of the society. I am a citizen of the state. All roles are different. Roles which appear to be contradicting one another. But all roles integrate into your inner self, and it has to speak that role at that time only. You cannot come home as an officer. There will be chaos in the house. You cannot go to the office as a father of the children or as a husband. Then there will be chaos in the office. Each value has to be taken into consideration. with the spirit with which that role is assigned. If it trespasses the limitations of the assignment, there is bound to be a contradiction, and that can create chaos. Even eminent people were assassinated because they exceeded their brief. Whether it is right or wrong is a different political analysis. But what I am saying is every assignment that was given to us has to be completed in that role. There is a director, and the director tells you what the role is, and if you exceed the brief of the role, you cannot see the screenplay, you cannot see the drama on the stage. And if you exceed that role, thinking that you can overstretch yourself, you should be confident of what you do. You should have self-confidence, but you should not be overconfident, nor should you feel that you will be defeated. In all conditions of spiritual practice, all these aspects have to be taken into consideration. What am I? What do I want? How do I want? Why do I want? What will be the rewards? Give everybody finally, because you cannot think only exclusively to me something has to happen which will make me alright. One single person's happiness can also bring about sadness or sorrow to others. That is why religions have failed. It is not that religion is failing people, but the people who are interpreting religion are failing religion itself. In our temples, the mothers will go and pray, "My child should be first in the class." That is a very wrong prayer. Every child is important to his mother, accepted. But the mother has no right to go and pray in the shrine to say, "My son should become the first." It is implied that the rest of the class boys should come second or last. That is a wrong, erroneous prayer. Should I not pray for my child? Yes, you have all the right to pray for the child. But what you pray is, "May enrichment come to my son or to my daughter." That should be the attitude in prayer. Not where you focus with the intention to ask something personal. Because in meditation, you are going to reach an impersonal entity and you are going to become impersonal. That is why you cease to be an individual at that time. You become a universal citizen. It is such a person who can do meditation. The preparation is very significant. Each role that is assigned to me is very significant, and as such, I will not trespass the limitations of the administrative quality that is being enshrined through this role at this particular point. I will not breach. That should be the first self-affirmation of the discipline that the seeker has to take upon himself or herself as his own personal responsibility. The Premier of the Cape Town cannot do anything that will be detrimental to the welfare of the state of South Africa. The KwaZulu-Natal Premier cannot do anything which is detrimental to the welfare of the state of Northern Cape. Everybody has a duty to give their utmost attention to according to their area of jurisdiction, while protecting the integrity of the jurisdiction that is being assigned to that state government. They cannot exceed the brief that will injure the welfare of the nation. In the same way, South Africa cannot do anything that will be detrimental to the African continent. And the African continent leaders cannot do anything that will devastate the international relations, so on and so forth. Every relationship, every role that is assigned is a partial performance at a given point in time, and you must give your full attention there. You do not cook a very nasty food and say, "I have got to go to meditation, I don't care how the food is," and just gulp something and go there. Have a sumptuous meal. Enjoy the meal. And in enjoyment you will reach meditation. how you do, how you perform. The intention plays a very significant role in the meditation. It is not a sudden leap, which I mentioned a while ago. Well, whatever you say is very inspirational, but I am unable to do is a repeated plea that is being made by the desperate disciple. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna accepts that position. You will reach this state, not suddenly, but through Abhyasa and Vairagya, are the two statements that he makes very significantly in the context of the 6th chapter. Abhyasa means practice, Vairagya means dispassion. And how do you practice both? It is an attitude that has to be developed in the mature mind, which is allowing itself to become a cosmic mind. Abhyasa means absolute alone is, and Vairagya means nothing else exists. When we go to God, we think that all the other things are wretched. When we have a secular life, we think these are all wretched. There is only spiritual life. This is an idealistic way of thinking, but it is not realistic. Idealism cannot clash with realism. Swami Shivananda was a marvelous balance between idealism and realistic philosophy. While the ideal can be noble, you cannot reject the reality, the immediate reality, the immediate wants, because that is also an expression of the total idea, which inspired for the realism to exist around you, in you, as you, for you. Realism cannot be rejected at any one point in time, because the realities are correct in that it is the report of the senses, and the report of the senses come on account of the light that is being shone on that particular occasion by the consciousness. You cannot eliminate the consciousness by saying these are all temporary things. Consciousness cannot be temporarily present somewhere and extinguish itself and go to a place of reality afterwards. At no point of time can consciousness be bereft of its own existence. Because of that, action is inevitable. Existence implies action. Consciousness implies action. As such, you have to act. Therefore, you have to perform the duty. And in performing that duty, you will meet the Maker. And meeting the Maker is a state of meditation according to Patanjali, as well as the expatiation that comes in the light of the 6th chapter. Gradual movement, the intake of food, the position that you take, the time that you choose, the atmosphere that you create, the attitude that you preserve, the temperament that you have, the feeling that you yearn and long for, have all to be considered before we sit for meditation. We should not put the clock on and say, after 60 minutes my meditation is over. Then you will be contemplating on the 61st minute. Meditation is not a quantitative movement. It is a qualitative retention. Meditation is not a movement in time. Meditation is not a movement in space. You are asking a spaceless vastness to enter into you. You are asking a timeless eternity to enter into you. If you click at a time and wait, meditation is over and I am ready for the day, it is not that. What should be the attitude of the seeker? Very gradual, very forceful, intense, very natural, no tensions. If tension is coming, say, I am not ready to meet you. It is better to accept a position even though it may appear to be an uncivilized behavior. We cannot always be civil. It is better to tell the truth. If somebody comes and knocks at the door right now and you say, please come, because that is a way to behave in an organized, civilized society, and you welcome the person and in the heart of hearts you think, why the hell did this person come and disturb the trend of thought? Then that is a total collapse of the idea that you are trying to enshrine in the heart. It is better to tell the person, we are busy, I am not ready to receive you, come again. Even though that is a disruption, even though that is uncivilized behavior, the person may feel that you were rude to him, still he will understand the honesty of your purpose and accept it. We do not have to be civilized all the time. We must be able to honestly present ourselves as we are. By being clever, we do not reach God. By being an intelligent person, we do not reach God. By being a totally innocent person, totally honest to the core, divinity will then embrace you. You can make and break so many things as a child, and the people in the house will tolerate it because of your innocence. But if you intentionally, deliberately do something, they will not tolerate. If a baby breaks a very costly glass, the parents will not be angry about it because it has expressed its innocence. Expressions are always done in innocence. Expression is not done when you are agitated. That innocence comes through the gradual practices of what we do from morning till evening. How do we conduct ourselves in the social state in New York? The liftman will only say good morning from morning till evening 4. After that, he will not greet you. He will look straight and walk just like a typical New Yorker. In California, they will all embrace you, but they will never be your friend. But once a New Yorker becomes your friend, he will never leave you, because it takes a long time for him to fix himself with you. Once he fixes himself with you, he is with you forever. It is not that we are in a hurry to grab somebody. We are gradually waiting to accept the spirit of that which we want to enter into us simply because of the fact that we recognize the centrality of the other which is standing in front of us. There is also the subtle message of marriage. What do you want to do in a marriage? A man and a woman getting married is a normal ritual that we see. But the man is trying to recognize the half masculinity which is not with him in the spouse, and the spouse is also trying to recognize the femininity which is not in her in the other. That coming together is what is known as marriage. We write poems and poems about it, but the central message is that it is a spiritual communion where the metaphysical position of the personalities comes into a total communion. That is marriage. In the same way, there is a divine marriage, meditation, taking place where the individual jiva is marrying the universal jiva. It merges and synchronizes, harmonizes and synthesizes itself into a oneness where you are absent in meditation. Just like a dancer when he dances, just like a musician when she sings. The music alone must be there. The dance alone must be there. The performer should not be there. The spectator should not be there. Then only can you actually visualize that performance in its totality. If you are going to categorize how she is singing or how he is dancing, you have lost the spirit, the essence of the dance that is being performed. As long as you remember that you are the subject concentrating on a particular object, there cannot be meditation. The moment you forget that you are a subject, the moment you forget that there is an object, where the subject becomes the object, where the object becomes a subject, and both the objectivity and the subjectivity is lost, there is a whole ocean coming into a happy union which is indescribable, because to whom would you describe when there is nobody to hear? You have become one. It is a merging. it cannot happen with all our frustrations, with all our impurities, with all our incapabilities. That is why they said, practice first, abhyasa. And the practice has to be rooted in the sacrifice, in the charitableness, and in the fire that you can create to keep the warmth in your heart by tapas. Swami Shivananda was considered to be a fire of renunciation. He did tapas much more than any one of us could ever imagine. He stood hip deep in the Ganges for 6 hours every day during his period of penance, and he had lumbago afterwards and wrote, I have done my austerities for 7 generations of my disciples. You must know what is spiritual practice. That is why I am writing about it. I do not want you to do what I did, but you must know what spiritual austerity is. He writes about that. That is the compassion of a saint. It is not that because he did, we must also go and stand. We do not duplicate. We do not imitate any event in spirituality. You are unique, and the uniqueness of your attitude in meditation is significantly unique to you, and it cannot be copyrighted by any source, any publishing house. It is unique to you. You will understand that only when you are walking into the portals of that practice that you do, in the roles that are assigned to you from morning till evening. You cannot go and talk philosophy to a crowd. You apply philosophy in your attitude. That is a fragrance of the spiritual practice that you have been doing. It will immediately transmit a silent message and change the atmosphere into a pure environment by which impurities are extinguished by the very fact of your existence. The sun exists. It does not say, I am here. Because the sun exists, we exist. Because a saint exists, we exist. Because a realized person exists, we exist. Because there is a meditation taking place, we are existing. These are very significant points that Sri Krishna mentioned in a very systematic manner, and he said, practice and vairagya are nothing but to feel the presence of the divine. Brother Lawrence writes in his books that even whilst attending to the call of nature, he felt the presence of God. If you read this book, you will know how he has come to that conclusion. Brother Lawrence always felt the presence of divinity. Religion may be different, but the spiritual experiences and the obstacles that are faced by a seeker and the achievements reached by a seeker are identical throughout, because it cannot be any different from any person. The final destination is one and the same, and you will reach there, but the methodologies applied may be different. He feels the presence of divinity even if he goes into the toilet. That is why I also mentioned about toilet yoga. It does not mean that is a practice, but it is an achievement to feel His presence even when you go and ease yourself. What is happening there at that time? Are you able to give the thanks to a principle which is unseen, to a principle that is not visibly present in front of your eyes, to a principle that you cannot feel, but still feel grateful to for that event which is happening? There you are in a state of meditation, where you have an attitude of gratitude all the time to everything that you do. Then you are in a higher altitude. We cannot have this idealism all the time. We must have the capacity to come back to our own gross level and even maintain the equanimity, the greatness, the integrity of those experiences in our daily lives when we do the tiniest little job. If you can bring that vibration in the smallest act that you do, you also connect everything to the blessedness of the Almighty. It is a message that Sri Krishna repeatedly gives. Before we rush to come and sit for meditation, it becomes necessary to perform the duties in a very systematic manner. The theme of the 6th chapter concludes with the interpretation of the individual. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. The first 6 chapters are dedicated to understanding the first person, which is you. And the first person is going to integrate with the second person in the context of the Bhagavad Gita. God is not second. It talks about the glory of God in the next 6 chapters. What you want to achieve, you must know what that person is. Why should I meditate on somebody whom I do not know? Why should I meditate on a principle I do not understand at all? The last 6 chapters are dedicated to the unification of the two, the individual and the universal. Unless we understand the first 6 chapters, further study of the Bhagavad Gita will not cut ice. You want to know what you are going to behold. What would be the nature of the Absolute? How does a universal form or government operate? Nobody has seen God visibly. We have had glimpses of the greatness of the Lord Almighty in certain events, in certain people, when it focuses its resources for a single purpose, to elevate the inadequacies of the situation that arises there, and we feel elevated because of the intrusion or intervention by the Supreme Principle which comes as an incarnation. But here the Lord is coming with an understanding that has to be understood by the individual before he enters into a state of meditation. Unless I understand myself, I am not any of the ornaments that I wear. I am not any of the certifications that I have. I am not any of the diseases that I have. I am totally a different person. Unless and until I understand that, I will not be able to understand or communicate or concentrate on the highest ideal, which we call God. Since we have not seen God, why should we meditate on God? Since I do not understand an universal form of government, why should I respect that? These queries also will be posed by the intelligent mind, because the mind always thinks it is intelligently asking the question. Just because we do not see the government, are we going to say that there is no government? Even in South Africa or in India or in any part of the world, nobody can show you where the government is. The government is not in the Cape Parliament. The government is not in the Union buildings of Pretoria. The government is not only Mr. Zuma. The government is not only the Premier of Cape. The government is not only the Reserve Bank Governor. The government is not only the Postmaster General. The government is not only the Police Chief. The government is not only the Three Forces Chief. Where is the government? 54 million citizens voted. That is what the election commission said. And they took so many days and they elected somebody according to the constitution as president. But is that the government? The people who voted are also part of the government. Now where is the domain of the government? Is it a geographical pattern of South Africa that is a government? The government is not only confined to the geopolitical scenario of the South African Republic. The government also operates in India, because I had to take a visa to come here, for which I went to Bombay. So your government exercises its authority beyond the horizons of South Africa also. Where is the government? Government is an idea, a force, a powerful principle that is operating in the minds of people. The Reserve Bank Governor is in charge of the monetary situation of the Republic of South Africa, but he does not own the money. He does not sit on the money, but he has a responsibility over the money. And money is an idea. If the rand notes are demonetized, overnight it becomes mere husk. The principle behind that paper is more powerful than the paper itself. The paper can be burnt, but the idea behind the paper is much more powerful. That cannot be burnt. What is the currency that you are talking about? What is the government that you are talking about? You cannot explain these petty things, and you are trying to explain and understand and have a grip of the Almighty, which is far beyond our understanding. Says the Rig Veda, when the mind and intelligence go up to the towering heights of that region to understand the Almighty and come back totally defeated, unable to express in that dumbfounded state, you become humble, simple, and totally surrender. It is not surrendering to a person, it is surrendering to a principle. In that surrender, the communication starts, the communion starts, the embrace starts, and you hug one another, and in that hugging, you merge into a oneness. That is the final stage of meditation, says the Bhagavad Gita. Am I able to position myself to understand the significance, the point that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is trying to explain? He assures in two simple words, Abhyasa and Vairagya, to feel the presence of all divinity in all conditions. All the 22 people who are sitting here are people who are not 22 people eventually. If I can feel that there is only one person sitting here, then there must be some meaning in what I am talking. But if I can continue to count how many people are here, then I have not been able to say anything at all. You are talking to yourself. You are communicating with yourself. You are making an interior pilgrimage into your own self. Unless and until you know yourself totally, you cannot communicate with anything outside. Abhyasa is to feel the presence of divinity everywhere. All of you may be sitting in different forms and names as expressions of divinity only, to give me the inspiration to say what I have to say. If I have said anything worthwhile, at all points if you can feel like that, then meditation happens naturally. You will feel it as an effortless exercise when you sink into, you dissolve into, you disappear into that wholeness of personality whom we adore as God, which is indescribable. No word, nothing can express it. No movements of the limbs can express it. Just the very existence activates everything to perform duties in a magnificent manner. May those glorious moments come to us by the grace of our masters, through our attitude towards religion, our attitude towards our simple practices, through our humble efforts, through our simple charities, through our attitudes of cleaning our personalities, with the fire of our understanding, tapas, yajna, dana, as the Bhagavad Gita says. The three necessities. You have to do sacrifice for the higher principle because they sacrificed and brought you here. That is the first sacrifice. And the other beings with whom you are forced to live by circumstances, and with others with whom you are happily living, for all of them you have to extend your charity. I have no money in the bank, Swamiji. No bank gives loan. What charity can I give? It is not that. Your charitable feeling towards one another is the second quality that is required from a seeker. And finally, a cleansing of the personality where impurities are extinguished by the fire of knowledge that dawns into your understanding, where the horizons of your heart expand to larger areas, and in that expansion, a wonderful universal embrace takes place, which is a delight of the meditation, which is the call of the 6th chapter. May those moments come to you in this very birth, is my humble and exalted prayer at the feet of my Master Sadgurudev Sri Swami Shivananji Maharaj, Pujya Sri Ma Anandamayi, Sadgurudev Sri Swami Venkateshanji Maharaj, Sadgurudev Sri Swami Krishnanji Maharaj, and all the other saints who are invisibly present here to inspire us, to focus our attention for some moments to think about a higher glory and a higher plane of our existence to reach eventually. There is no higher or lower, it is only an expression. But in every condition, they are present and we are thankful to them for those wonderful moments. I wish and pray that you walk out of this institution with a greater maturity to behold the beauty and ecstasy that is given to you right in front of you. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May happiness accrue to all beings. Hari Om.